Thanks for taking a few moments out of your show to join us. Appreciate that. Like I said, talk about some of the key infrastructure considerations, specifically around the structured cabling to support the next generation wireless applications and all the connected applications that are converging on the network. So this week's theme is go beyond, and really when you talk about all the new applications, all the new software, everything that's happening with the network, it's a pretty fitting example. A good theme for the week. So we talked about convergence, AIs, and all these type of applications. A lot of those are buzzwords that get thrown around, but the reality is that they are driving significant demand, unprecedented on our networks, and that's networks across commercial applications, industrials, obviously data centers, pretty much everywhere. And big part of that is more and more connected devices and Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi focused or Wi-Fi first networks are a big deal. A lot of folks are talking about return to the office, using the office to pull people, back in, and they talk about collaboration in office and places. You're not necessarily connected to a traditional desk. Everybody's out there working on their laptops, that type of thing, and Wi-Fi is no longer a luxury. It's really, along with your wired network, it's mission critical for your organization, regardless of your vertical or your end market. Now, a big part of that is the new, 802.1 AX standards promoting Wi-Fi 6 and Wi-Fi 6E, allowing for 10 gigabits of throughput, through that additional 6 gigahertz bandwidth there. So, increasing speeds, reducing latency, and really driving more and more information there. In order to support that and make sure that your clients are happy, your users are satisfied, structured cabling needs to be ready to support that. And so we're going to talk about some of the key considerations and just ensure that you're ready to go. So Wi-Fi 6E is really, you need to take a moment to review your entire network ecosystem. We're talking a lot about cabling and connectors today, but the mounting, the internal AP selection that goes along with it, you're really taking the performance to the next level. So your infrastructure products, starting with your Cisco servers and switches, they recommend a full refresh as well. Power is huge. Obviously, a big driver of the Wi-Fi performance is the PoE, power over Ethernet. We'll be talking a little bit about that, but power at the racks and in your telecom and equipment rooms are critical as well. And then always important, the environments and the aesthetics of the solutions. So talking to a lot of customers this week about Wi-Fi outdoors, Wi-Fi in industrial applications. So there's just a ton of extra factors to consider. So we'll talk about some of the things to consider. Got to remember to update the slides as we go through, always important there. So that refresh, that review might mean that you need a new infrastructure. It depends where you're at in your infrastructure journey. If you've laid the groundwork with Category 6A cabling, then you might be ready to go for this next step. If you've got a legacy infrastructure, you might be looking at rip and replace or upgrading, adding runs and as well. So like I mentioned before, Wi-Fi 6E provides that close to 10 gigabit bandwidth throughput. You need the Category 6A copper infrastructure in order to support that. And right along with the bandwidth and the performance side of it is the ability to handle the high power over Ethernet, the PoE. All the Wi-Fi 6 and Wi-Fi 6E APs that are being deployed require that 60 watt power level, that Cisco UPoE, that delivers 51 watts, at the end device. You really want to focus on the Category 6A LP rated cables, and that LP stands for limited power, and that means that cable's specifically been designed and tested for high power applications in high bundles. They really push these cables into UL listing, so you know that you're going to have the safety. And it also simplifies the installation and inspection process. So the inspector can just look for that LP rating. They're not going to have to worry about any bundling restrictions, any restrictions around any of the emerging applications. Along with the high power, high bandwidth, we're just seeing, more and more IP devices are being deployed. Lots of new and emerging applications. Obviously security is a big factor, but you walk around the show floor and you see all sorts of different things. So a key part of that is utilizing high density, smaller form factor type of solutions, both on the copper and the fiber side, and ensuring that you've got proper cable management to be able to route and support all of those solutions through. So down the bottom of the slide, you can see that the TIA guidance on the AP applications, which is mirrored in the IEEE 802.1ax standard, as well as 2 ports of minimum category 6A per AP location. It's going to support the data rate. It's going to provide you optimal PoE support up to that potential 100-watt level, and it's going to allow the potential for flexibility with additional ports, whether that be for link aggregation or potentially patching to other equipment as well. So just a quick reminder of why Category 6A cabling on the copper side is critical for both wired and wireless infrastructure. So we've been talking about the performance for that Wi-Fi 6E max throughput. If you have a legacy infrastructure, it's not going to be able to get the most. You know, you're investing in new equipments at the server side, you're investing in new APs. Make sure you're getting the performance that you're paying for. Additionally, for wired infrastructure, it's really recommended for all new installs in pretty much all verticals: healthcare, commercial buildings, education, and just ensuring your future-proof performance. It's going to give you 10 gigabit to 100 meters. There's information about, you know, using Category 6 and lower infrastructure products for 10 gigabit. There's a lot of restrictions out there. You're going to run into limitations. Again, you're not necessarily going to drive the performance from your solution. And beyond that, we're going to talk about, you know, optimal PoE support. And we've got a few slides that talk about that. But Category 6A cabling, with its, you know, conductor size and LP rating, is going to ensure lower power consumption and reduce heat rise, which is just going to ensure longevity in your equipment. Category 6A is designed specifically to mitigate the alien crosstalk that is a key performance driver in Category 6 installations. So to drive that 10 gigabit per second speed, those cables have to operate up to 500 megahertz. That frequency can cause interference between cables, especially in today's high bundle environments with so many connected devices. So cables and connecting hardware that are designed specifically to mitigate and ensure that that alien crosstalk performance is top of the line is going to ensure that you're getting the performance out of your network. So just a quick reminder on PoE. I'm sure most of the folks here are familiar with it, but you know, what we're seeing with the Wi-Fi 6E is that Type 3, 60 watt power at the source, delivering 51 watts there. That's most applications today. 100 watts, we're still seeing limited applications, and sorry, the yellow line there got a little out of alignment with the slides there, but the PoE technology, you know, it's a big reason why copper is still a, you know, viable solution in today's environment. You know, it's really a benefit being able to transmit the data and the PoE together under a single cable. You know, we're seeing it with the APs, security cameras, a variety of different end devices. So that 60 watt is delivered by 2 30 watt, you know, utilizing each 2 pairs, and it's going to give you that performance through the full 100 meters of the potential channel there. And just a quick reminder, so the impact of these higher power applications, traditionally PoE in the past was only 15 or 30 watts, so, you know, doubling at that 60 watt level. Energy waste, efficiency, you know, resistance can really start to take an impact. So you can see here, you know, the Category 6A, especially in those higher power applications, is providing significant more efficiency, significant reduced heat rise. So sustainability, always a big factor for companies today. It's going to ensure you're not having to drive extra power just to get the performance that you're supposed to. It's also going to help with the longevity, the life cycle of your products, your active equipment. If they're constantly having to struggle to get there, then, you know, it's just going to wear them down quicker. You're going to have to rip and replace. All right, so we've kind of selected what type of infrastructure to use, and hopefully everybody takes away that Category 6A is critical, but we also need to think about how we design that infrastructure, how we deploy it. So, you know, we talked a little bit about convergence and all these different applications, so you need to be able to connect to a variety of end devices in a variety of different locations. So solutions for outdoor or other harsh environments are critical. Direct connect type of applications, applications in the plenum space, are all things you need to be ready to deploy. You need to be ready to utilize a variety of solutions, you know, and be able to adapt to rapid change. You know, the only kind of constant, right, is that everything's dynamic these days. Use cases are changing. More and more potential connections are being added. So we need to be able to be, flexibility is just critical in the way that we design. So, utilize options like zone cabling, remote TRs, bring your network infrastructure closer to the edge, closer to those end devices through a variety of options. We can talk a little bit about extended distances beyond 100 meters and, like I mentioned before, high density type solutions. And be prepared to scale up both bandwidth performance without having to replace your infrastructure. So prepare for the potential addition of new connections, additional connections beyond what you're planning for day one, and be able to plan for that increased bandwidth potential in the future as well. So extend fiber throughout the facility. Like I said, utilize some of those remote TRs or IDF type of installations, and use Category 6A to cover the current applications like Wi-Fi and other 10 gig speeds, but also be able to future-proof. So just touching on some of those new connection and design options. Again, extend the network where you need it, indoor and outdoor cabling options, low diameter, plenum spaces, outdoor type of protected enclosures for both your Wi-Fi connections, housing those APs and the cabling infrastructure that goes there. Modular plug terminated link, or MPTL, those direct connect type of applications where instead of terminating on a jack and running a patch cord, you're direct connecting into your end device. Very popular with APs and security cameras. Where does it make sense? Those fixed type of applications, somewhere where you might not be able to get a jack and cord up in the ceiling, or somewhere where you might not want to have that patch cord there because it might be a security concern that someone's going to unplug there. So there's a variety of solutions out there on the marketplace. Gone are the days where the installer's just taking that plastic RJ45 and crimping it on the jacket. It's key that you have testing procedures in place. It's part of the warranty program from your manufacturer, because performance for these are critical. A lot of times, like I said, they're used in security applications, Wi-Fi. So if you're going to deploy this type of solution, make sure that you're doing it with a full-on, performance-rated solution. Whoops. So I mentioned extended distances. It's a popular talking point right now, as some customers are, like I said, more and more connected devices, and sometimes it's pushing beyond the typical 100-meter copper distances that are allowed. Our position is standards compliant is still the best option always. It ensures the flexibility and performance. We can utilize zone cabling and remote cabinets to deploy some fiber further out. But it can be a problem solver. I just don't want to make it the basis of design. So if you got that security camera that might be an extra 5 meters beyond that, there are options now where you can get that performance. But we recommend that you use specialized cabling. 22 gauge can certainly help ensure that the insertion loss and performance aren't a concern. I recommend that third-party verification and manufacturer warranty to ensure that you're not pushing it beyond the performance limitations. And 10 gigabit is not an optimal performance case. It's really limited extended distance. You're talking about only a few meters. So keep it mainly to 1 gigabit applications if possible. It's just really not optimal for Wi-Fi deployments. It's really security cameras and that type of solution. Powered fiber is something that's coming current day. It's limited usage. PoE is much easier. It's something to keep an eye on for the future. And so is single pair Ethernet. That's starting to emerge for commercial type of applications. It's really going to be low bandwidth, long runs, limited power, but potentially for sensors and other type of applications. We're going to expect to see that in the future, just not getting adoption from the sensor manufacturers quite yet. We're a couple years away from that, I believe. So something to keep an eye on. So in summary, in line with this week's theme, make sure your network's infrastructure is ready to go beyond. Structured cabling will play a critical role. Ensure that you're evaluating your designs. Be prepared to use a variety of solutions. Really focus on maximizing performance, reliability, and also flexibility. And while usage and applications are evolving, the infrastructure needs to evolve to meet those demands as well. Feel free to come by the Hubble booth if you're interested in discussing. I'll be there for the rest of the day. Again, fill out session surveys or reach out via the WebEx app as well. And thank you very much. I appreciate you guys spending a few minutes with us. Hope everybody's enjoying their show.